Hi everyone. We're here with the new episode of With Love Solé, and I want to make note that you're probably seeing this one come in a little bit later than normal. I had been posting generally on Fridays, and I think I'm going to switch to Sunday mornings because I just feel like that's a better time to drop my content. So, thank you for going through that change with me. And you should be able to expect my weekly videos now coming through Sunday mornings. So, just a heads up. Um, Something that's really present in my life, and I feel like kind of a few of the people that are around me, and something that I think is really important to remember when you're working on calling something into your life is, if you look at something energetically when you're kind of manifesting something. So I'm going to use the frame of what I'm working on with this personally so you can kind of understand and follow along with me here. I am working on buying a car, and I have a vision of the one that I want, and I kind of obviously the numbers where that want the numbers to be. And so I've been putting a lot of energy into that, as you can imagine. And, when it comes to buying a car, or say looking at getting a new place or getting a new job, like there's some search activity to it, right? You have to kind of put in some energy and search and try to find the thing and trying to find the right thing. So there's an output energy to it that is definitely a part of the process. You can't not search. The car is not just going to find me necessarily. There has to be some energy, running towards your manifestation. And this could go for anything, right? I'm just using the example of what I'm going through because I feel like this is an important piece. So, because it could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be moving, it could be anything that you're working on manifesting that requires some level of your activity and inspired action, we'll say. And I do want to caveat that to say I think inspired action is really important because, for example, when you're buying a car, you can imagine, I mean, there's so many cars in this world, and I mean, there's so many dealerships. I could go to every single one. I could do that, and I'm not going to. As if anybody's bought a car before, the process is somewhat tedious. Like the salesman, like literally actively try to make the process as long as possible to like wear you out, so that at the end of it, you'll be like worn out and make like a worn out decision. Like I mean, I actually looked this up, and that's like a very solid tactic that they use. And if you've ever bought a car, you know that you spend like all day in one dealership. So it's a lot of time and energy that goes into it. And so if you can imagine the time and energy that I'm kind of putting into this process, it is my output energy. It's actually kind of technically, energetically speaking, masculine energy, right? It's the energy that you put out and you send into something. Now, the piece I want to add in for today, and what I really want us to remember, and if you're working on manifesting anything in particular, especially if it's something you've been kind of running energy towards and it hasn't landed yet, or the perfect thing hasn't shown up yet, there has to be the equal and opposite energy of receiving. And they say, like with relationships, right, that you can be looking for your guy, and then as soon as you stop looking, you find him, right? It's like stereotypical how that goes. And energetically, it makes a lot of sense. And same goes when you're looking for a car, or when you're looking for a house, or anything else you're like energy output kind of seeking, that when you stop seeking, the thing can then find you. So you can imagine it like when you're in the output mode and you're taking the inspired action. And again, inspired action because you don't have to go on 600 dates and you don't have to go to every dealership in the city. Just the ones that like, at least this one's going to feel good. It feels exciting. I'm going to go check this one out. And then maybe you'll meet a person that can help you, or give some kind of, activity towards the materialization of your desire. If that's dating, then maybe meet someone that kind of fragment expands you into like, oh, I didn't even think about this as something I might want to look for in a potential partner, but I really like this about this person. Well, it might not be this person. I like this fragment expansion that they offer me, and I'm going to add that to my list of kind of what I'm looking for in a potential partner. Same thing when it goes to a car, right? Not to parallel the two, but same conversation basically. But the inspired action matters because you don't need to run yourself and force it, right? And I think there's a level of forcing it. If I was going to go to every single dealership in the city, I would be on some level getting to a level where I'm kind of just forcing it, right? I'm no longer taking inspired action, I'm taking desperate action. And that would be the same thing if you're going on hundreds of dates. That's desperate action. It's not inspired action, because nobody is inspired to go to every dealership in the city or go on 100 dates. Like that doesn't even sound fun. And you can almost feel when you get to the level where your energetic system says you've put in enough work, now you need to let it come to you, put it down. set it down. And usually, and so when it comes to dating, the kind of stereotypical example of when you're seeking, you don't find, when you stop seeking, you find, because you've put it down. And to the point where you've exhausted yourself, so you just can't even, you don't even want to date anymore because you've maybe gone on too many dates or it just doesn't even seem fun anymore. It feels like you're forcing it, right? It's when your body, your system, your energetic body says you've done enough to materialize the thing. Now you have to let the thing come to you. And I think that's really important because it can be easy to be in this kind of hustle culture frame that the doing and the going to dealership every day or calling every day, like that's the right thing to do, that you're, as long as you're checking, you gave a little something to it every single day, that's the way to get it. And energetically speaking, you're actually working against yourself. Because in order to get the thing that you want, you put the energy out, you let your energy materialize it into the material world, and then you pull your energy back so that it can come and find you. That's kind of the push and pull. That's like the masculine and the feminine energies. That's the output and then the input. That's the giving and the receiving. And we have to remember that the receiving is just as important. Again, the hustle culture will have us think that as long as you're doing all day long, that you will have been productive, even if nothing really came of it. And it's a lie. And it actually goes against the nature of the universe and the forces of the universe and the input, output, giving, receiving nature of the universe. It's actually called sponda. It's the expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction. That's what the universe is always doing. That's what we're always doing by way of our breath and everything else. And so you have to be able to work with that. And in fact, because the hustle culture has told us that the doing is what gets the thing, it can feel uncomfortable to stop doing. Like it is actually slightly uncomfortable for me right now to put down my car search because I'm on somewhat of a time limit and I feel prepared to buy and I would like to find the right thing and I'm excited about it, obviously. And I have put in a good amount of energy towards my inspired action and going to various dealerships and working with different people and kind of planting my seeds around it. And I know I can feel now I can't even like call another dealership. I can't even reach out to the person who I kind of have looking for me. It's like my energetic system says stop now. Stop now. Because if you do any more, you're going to be forcing it. And you're actually pushing the thing away that you want when you get into that energy of forcing it and pushing so hard to get it. And then you might get something, but it's not the perfectly materialized thing because you never let the perfectly materialized thing come find you. Like, of course, there's a car I could buy today, but I can feel in my system it's not the perfect car. It's not like that easy, seamless, perfectly aligned option. And I need that. I mean, I rely on the easy, seamless, perfectly aligned option for all that I do. And I know that that's always the right thing because I know what it feels like in my body when I found the right thing, no matter what it is. So I'm at a place where I can feel my system. Like I have the tendency to want to like, let me just check this website, even just checking websites. My system says, nope, you need to stop right now and set it down. Set it down as if you're not going to buy. Maybe don't buy this year, even give yourself like more room or more space or just set the search down so that the perfect thing that you've already put so much energy into can come back and find you. It's like creating the void between you and the thing that has already materialized by way of the energy work that you've put in. And I want to remind us that that is an important piece because it can feel disappointing when you've put a lot of energy into something or you've, done your search, whether it's again, partnership or looking for a different job or looking for a new place to live or looking for a car. You put a lot of energy into something and when it doesn't a lot like the outcome doesn't land in the time frame that you thought it would land, it can feel disappointing. And on some level, sometimes it is in that disappointment that we're like, fine, I just give up. I give up. I'm not going to look anymore. And whatever frame you need to be in, although I don't suggest that one because it's more of a, it's less of a surrender, like a sweet surrender, and more of like a giving up. But however you need to get there, you do have to sometimes like just release it to the universe, release it to the highest possible timeline that has already formed by way of your inspired action, that you don't need to be doing more in order to get the thing that you want. As long as you put some energy into it, right? Like obviously I'm not going to sit on my couch and not look at all ever and just think that a car is going to find me. Like that wouldn't work either. But I know that I put in the work and the energy and kind of created my positive visualization around it and imagined myself driving my car off the lot and felt what it will feel like in my body to just find the perfect thing that's perfectly aligned in all the ways that I want it to align. And now I'm going to just surrender it. And I have to, like, because I can feel it. And so I think those of us who are in tune, you can usually feel it. You can usually feel when you're like, I'm forcing it now. Like, there's a fine line. There'll be one day where you wake up on your quest to find and you feel it in your body, like, yeah, if I do any more action right now, I'm actually forcing it. And you really need to listen to that. You really need to listen to that. While the logical brain may say, no, do more, doing more is always the way. The logical brain is lying. Literally, the logical brain is lying because the logical brain is not factoring in the energetic exchange around the seeking and the finding. So give yourself that permission, just set it down. Just set it down. Just set it down. And that's the sweet surrender. Anybody who's read the surrender experiment or kind of about the practice of surrender, it is in the surrender that you see the truth of things, and it is in the surrender that you find. And I think that's an important part of the manifestation process, especially something big like buying a car. I mean, it's a relatively big deal. You only buy so many cars in your life unless you buy more than so many, but maybe you do. I have only personally ever on my own bought one car. And so this is my second one. And it is a big deal for me. It's a big deal. Um, and so I have to just surrender it and trust that the perfect thing is waiting and it's going to find me at the perfect moment, wherever it is, however it's going, and that the journey to get me there will prepare me as the one to, buy or whatever, to share this experience with you all so that you can all remember and we can all remember collectively the power of surrendering and setting it down. Now, I was talking with my friend Andy, who's like, if any of you guys know Andy, shout out to Andy, one of my good friends, but, works a lot in manifestation, wrote a book around clearing resistance. So, if anything, like what I will do now is just when it pops into my head and I start to think about it again, I'll just clear any resistance. I'll definitely clear any like desperation energy because I do not want to buy from any sort of desperation energy or settling energy. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I just do my energy work around it versus kind of the more of the looking around it, and just gonna, when I think about it, just clearing and just getting back in that energy of being excited to find it when it comes, and then set it down again and go back about my day and do what I'm doing. So I thought it would be important for me to bring that. I always like to try to talk about things that I'm actively working on as well in real time. So, I'm very much human and I'm very much in this with you guys. And this is how my brain works. And this is what I think about and how I operate in the world, is to fine tune in this way and keep myself honest energetically in all the ways that I exist. And I think the giving and receiving is a major one. I think, in fact, it's reflective of the larger theme of bringing the feminine more online on the planet, feminine energy, because the feminine is the receiving, the feminine is the surrendering. It's the allowing to come in. It's the magnetism. It's the void. It's the calling back. The masculine is the one that does and does and does and is out here, in the creation, creating, actively creating. The feminine is the one who just calls back in, sits back and calls back in. And it's not man or woman, right? Because we all have both. And in fact, I really do sincerely believe that ideally we master both energies 50-50 in our system. And that doesn't always mean we're always 50-50, but that we know when to be in our masculine and when to be in our feminine. And so all of these types of experiences and situations are opportunities for us to master that. And so, especially when we're seeking something or looking for something or working on something to land, that we run the masculine to it, and then we run the feminine from it so that we can call it in and create the void for it to find, and lean into the magnetism of it finding us. That's, I think, the mastery here. So that's what I'm going to give you guys. Just thought that could help, because I think, anybody who's working on anything or calling anything in, or maybe you've been running energy towards something, even if it's a project or a podcast or whatever, and it's just not landing, just put it down. Put it down. It can feel like you're giving up on it, and you're not. It just means you're letting it find you, and you can put it down and give it the amount of time it needs to materialize into the very perfect thing, so that only the very perfect thing finds you and not the thing that you forced to work because you felt like you were giving up if you just set it down just for a day, and then for 2 days, and then for 3 days. Like, keep setting it down until you feel that just ping of inspired action again. Maybe there will be more inspired action to come, but let there be a season, even if just a couple of days, where you just put it down. You think about it, you send it good energy, you come back into the frame of feeling great about how it's going to be when it comes, but you're setting it down. You're not like running so much energy towards it where you're actually pushing it away. Okay, that's what I got. Love you guys. I shall see you next week.